Well, thanks for your emails with regards to tip number 1 and 2. It's really encouraging. So we're carrying on here and we're going to move on to tip number 3. So remember, number 1, make sure the training you receive is legally up to date and accurate. And tip number 2, make sure that the training and the skills taught are compliant under health and safety and the manual handling regs. I can't emphasise that enough. I'm trying to protect not just the child and the member of staff, I'm trying to protect your management team as well. So please consider that. Okay, now it's time to move on and we're going to go on to tip number 3. So, make sure the training you receive is compliant with the Human Rights Act. Now, as a teaching professional and a senior manager, you're probably glazing over at this point and thinking, human rights, what's this got to do with my school? But please stick with me on this, because there's government departments that issue policy, and we're all a little bit worried of the Ofsted inspector, and they might give you and me the odd sleepless night. But there's laws much higher than that, and that's the Human Rights Act, which came into force in 1998. It provides all citizens of the UK protection from various breaches to their human and civil rights. It's actually unlawful for any public authority or public official to act in a way that is incompatible with the human rights as protected by the Human Rights Act in 1998. Now, one of the most fundamental articles in the Human Rights Act is Article 2.1, the right to life. This article provides an individual with an absolute right which cannot be passed on, broken in any way. This in turn means that all public authorities, including the government, must take positive steps to promote and preserve the right of life of all citizens. That could even go down to a public official. For example, we know that anyone laying on the front during a restraint can be dangerous. Therefore, any time a child or a person in being restrained goes onto the floor, there's an increased risk. We shouldn't be doing prone restraints anymore. If a person does end up on the prone position, then that time that they're held in that position should be minimised absolutely as much as possible. We don't teach any of these techniques, and we don't even teach it on request. What we recommend is, should there be a situation where a child ends up on the floor, we ask our trainees to step back as quickly as possible, allowing them to move under their own steam. So there are issues between Article 2 of the Human Rights Act and the prone position. We think it is a breach should that have to happen, and it shouldn't be really trained. Also, currently, Mind, the mental health charity, is lobbying the government to remove the prone position restraint from all health units in the UK due to the large number of deaths associated with this position in police custody and in the health service. However, if the prone position has to be used because there's no other options, you should have exhausted every other plan. If you've got a very strong child, that needs to be restrained temporarily for their own good, then there must be safeguards in place, such as staff properly trained and emergency procedures in place, including first aid. The other article to consider is Article 3, protection from torture and inhumane degrading treatment. Article 5, the right to liberty and security of a person, and Article 8, the right to privacy and respect for the private and family life, which all have a bearing on how we deal with the child. However, when it comes to Article 2.1, it's possibly the most important article of all. So make sure your training is compliant, make sure you're in line with the Human Rights Act, because it is ultimately the highest law in the land.